What is up, guys, and welcome to another Bojanian vlog. How are you guys doing? I'm okay. I'm wearing a hat because my hair's a mess, basically, and yeah, just kind of bit of a period I'm going through recently where I'm just kind of shut at home. Kind of happens, but I thought that I would, provide the my most recent realization, as I do in these vlog entries. So, yeah, you can probably see it in the title, so it's going to be a juicy one, I suppose. Both in terms of just insights into your own life or other people's lives that you might know, but also, like, if you happen to know me, like, on a personal basis, then yeah, it's also kind of going to be, I suppose, enlightening, this century. But so I had a realization recently, and it was very, I guess, sobering would be the word that I would use, but but I suppose it kind of goes beyond that, it's just, yeah, I've kind of alluded in previous entries to like a thing I have, right, that I've had pretty much all my life, and one of the ones that is, well, one of the entries that I did previously that was very much, I guess this entry is kind of a continuation of, in a way, is my problem of wearing a social mask. So in that entry, and also in a few other entries, I mentioned that, like, I have social anxiety, but even that is kind of a bit vague. What does that mean, right? Yeah, like, I mean, like, yeah, but social anxiety is such a common thing, and, like, I feel that, like, in the same way, like, the same way with, like, mental health, like, things like social, like, I guess, disorders, if you want to call it them that, they're kind of like the next in line in terms of, like, how common they are. And that's obviously not counting, like, genetic disorders and things of that nature. But so, yeah, in that entry I talked about my kind of lifelong problem of, like, basically being fake, right? From a very young age, like, I have, just in front of other people, like, I felt very, like, it's just like I have always worn a mask in front of other people because essentially I'm afraid of showing my true self to them. And I guess, if you're interested in that kind of thing, or if this kind of thing affects you, then, yeah, then I would suggest watching that video of mine. But actually, before I go on, I want to kind of give a bit of a disclaimer. Like, I know, like, I'm making it sound so, like, so kind of, like, such a big deal, really. Like, I'm kind of, like, I guess, giving it that kind of an air. But, like, the disclaimer I want to give is, like, this is a very sensitive thing for myself, obviously, but also, like, to many people out there. So I just want to say that anything that I say in this video is just purely coming from my own experience, right? And I don't mean any of what I say as a judgment to anyone else's experience. Obviously, like, I mean, like, speaking frankly, like, I'm just some random Chinese guy. But I say this all the time in videos because it's kind of true. Like, I'm just a random Chinese guy who does vlog entries, like, why, like, not why should you listen to my opinion, but like, you know, if anything I say ever offends you or anyone watching this, then like, just remember that, you know, like I'm just some rando on the internet, like, you know, and believe, like, you know, believe in your own opinions and your own feelings and all of that stuff, right? That's kind of part of my message, but yeah, and then like, I wanted to apply to this video specifically because it's, yeah, it's very, it could potentially be very triggering for people watching this, or it could rouse up like just a lot of painful emotions as it did me. So I just want to give a disclaimer, like, in saying that, like, you know, if you're obviously you're welcome to watch this video, and like I'm not going to stop you, you know, like I'm not trying to stop you from watching this video. It's just like, go enter it with an open mind, and if it indeed triggers you and it pisses you off, or like it really hurts you, then, you know, in the sense that it dredges up like painful emotions for you, then like, if anything, I just want to say, like, be with those feelings, right? But I just wanted to give basically like I guess a warning, but it's, you know, again, it's more like just foresight into what I'm about to talk about and like how it might potentially affect whoever's watching this, you know, because it is a very sensitive topic I'm about to talk about. So I had a realization, and I don't know what really triggered it, but like, as with everything, you know, as with all things, like you kind of just go along and then suddenly you get like I mean, there's always something in the background that's building and building and building, and culminates into like a kind of like a sobering moment where you realize something really like profound / crippling, you know, and let's just say that like I don't know, I've had instances of like heart pain, and I'm not talking about heart pain in terms of like an actual cardiac, like a cardiac kind of disorder or anything like that, but like there's a pain that comes and it hits you right in your heart when you face up against something about yourself that you have long suppressed and has been like a source of like pain and like suffering and unconsciousness and karma, you know, like particularly something that you and other people have judged very negatively. And when you finally come face to face with that thing and you have nowhere to hide, like you get like this very, it's very painful actually. Like it's like like in the moment it almost feels like you're actually having a heart attack. But you know, like obviously like you know, like, well, I say, you know, but like for me, like I'm quite in touch, in tune with my own body and my own feelings. So like I knew like it wasn't like a heart attack or something, but like I had like it was like the first time / a very long time that like I had a pain in the center of my chest like that. And yeah. And the reason for that pain was I realized that I am a closet narcissist. You know, and God, was it painful to realize that, but like, and like, again, I guess this is disclaimer number 2, like, we use these words, I mean, with anything really, like, you know, everything that I have shared in these videos is like, has been like, you know, I use words because they're convenient to convey things, you know, like ideas and concepts, and like, any kind of like label that we assign to something like this, closet narcissist, or even narcissist in general, you know, is merely like a diagnosis. It's not meant to be like an end all be all end all kind of a thing. But and it definitely doesn't like account for. It's only a label, right? it's only a symbol, so it only points towards like the essential experience and the feelings behind it and the history and all of that stuff, right? It's in reality, you know, things like this are really much more complex than the simple label, you know, closet narcissist. What does that mean, right? But you know, but going by like what that word, what that term symbolizes, then yes, I realized that I am a closet narcissist, right? And yeah, it was, even now, like, obviously the realization was like a few weeks ago, or like, yeah, a week or two ago, but like, and so like I don't feel the same degree of like pain, I suppose, in in kind of dredging that up, but because, and I'll talk about what I went through as well, like kind of realizing it, but like, yeah, you know, like, but yeah, like I had this realization, and another I think term or a synonym, if you will, like for closet narcissist is like, I believe, I don't have the website on and like the wiki entry anymore, but like I think it was like hypersensitive narcissist or something of that nature, right? And like that hit home even more, and then this is why I gave a disclaimer like in the videos, because like it's like anyone who is sensitive and is watching this will probably immediately get hit by that, right? And so like, yeah, that's why I gave the disclaimer, but like, but everything made sense. The reason my heart hurt so much was because I had been suppressing this for so long, and by this I mean like I had been like kind of not like, I've never thought of myself as a narcissist. If anything, I always thought that I was a victim of narcissists throughout my life. You know, just being honest, you know, and so I never thought of myself as being the very thing that I was abhorring, you know, deep down. But yeah, but there it was, you know, like everything, and then as I kind of sunk into that pain, like everything started to make sense to me. And like, this is the thing, right? You know, like, I know like so far this entry sounds very like down and like, and just very like heavy and stuff, but right, this channel that I do, right, it's obviously just my vlog channel, right, but like I have a very specific kind of, I guess, intention with this vlog channel, and that intention is a direct mirroring, I suppose, of like how I kind of go through my everyday life, right? And like, I'm not saving, you know, people and like changing the world or anything like that, you know, even though like my early entries might kind of like allude, or, you know, like suggest that that's what I was aiming for, but like, moreover, it's just, you know, it's a reflection of of how I kind of go along my life and my journey, right? And and as such, right, and throughout my journey, I've learned to always take like these heavy kind of like subjects and heavy like labels, and really like the kind of underlying emotions, or like the emotions behind those things, like the really, really heavy and dark feelings, you know, the pain, to take that and to really like and to really like be with it in a conscious way, right? And so like because I've had, you know, or thanks to all of like, you know, the years I've been on this journey, and like just being with my feelings and understanding pain and understanding like how energy works, and like how how like your focus affects the way that you think, how like there is an aspect of reality that is not simply deterministic, like mechanical, right? And like and that aspect is very much to do with like how you yourself subjectively perceives and interprets reality. You know, how you kind of like, how you, I suppose, roll with like how you feel, and the way that you feel about life as it unfolds, like, you know, the events, things that happen to you, people, the like narcissism, which is really a judgment, right? And like, yeah, like, and so like, you know, as like I had this realization, like I had an inkling, right? And I googled it, and everything made sense to me, and I even took a test. Right, I forget which test it was specifically, but I took a test, like, you know, to see if I was really a covert, a covert narcissist, right? And like, as it turns out, I am, right? And again, when I say I am, like, as I said, right, my practice and my kind of like raison d'etre, if you will, like, I don't know if that's the right way of saying it, but like, you know, my kind of like mantra, if you will, my self-made mantra that I've come up for myself over the years is always to take like heaviness and darkness and anything really, like and to like kind of like sit with it in a conscious way, right? Which is like to, I suppose, detach yourself from it, but not but detach yourself from it does not mean to suppress it, right? It does not mean like to kind of like shove it down, or to like kind of like tranquilize that feeling. Rather, it is like you feel it and then you just breathe it, right? Because like, you know, we are trained to always like kind of like immediately like like remedy things, right? If anything's wrong, then we have to do something about it. Like, if we're feeling pain, then we have to do something about it. We have to feel better. But no, like, what consciously being with your feelings really is about is like you let it, you let the feeling exist. You let sadness take you. You let anger take you. You know, not because you're a masochist or like you're a weirdo who's trying to prove a point, like, you know, like, I'm sensitivity. No, you know, sensitivity is the way forward. Tap into your sensitivity, Bo Jin copyright. You know, no, it's not for any of that. It's because the most compassionate thing you can do for yourself and for other people is to connect. That's why. If anything, it's like it sounds like one of those like kind of like trite, or not trite, but like, you know, like you would imagine like a father telling his son or his daughter, like, you know, sometimes shit happens in life and you just have to deal with it. It's one of those things. But again, not in an overly harsh way. If anything, it's like, yeah, I don't. It's difficult to describe in words like what it actually entails. Like, I do my best in these entries to portray it, right. And, you know, in last week's episode, I gave like my own example about how to raise your vibration and what to do in low vibration and what it looks like and all that stuff. And that's me trying to like illustrate things. But I suppose there really is no substitute for like experience and being with people and stuff like that. But anyway, going back to what I was saying, like, yeah, so like I just kind of let the heart pain continue, and like, yeah, you know, and I learned that I was a covert narcissist. And this to me, like I say, right, like I was just saying, instead of thinking of it as like, oh, I'm a fucking piece of shit because I'm a covert narcissist. You know, I'm the scum of the earth. I pretend that I'm all like enlightened and like conscious, but deep down, like, I don't give a shit about anyone but myself, right? It's like, yeah, that's kind of what covert narcissism refers to, right? There's no mistaking that, right? Hence, I was in so much pain realizing this, but like, at the same time, it's also an opportunity for you to be like, okay, like, what caused this? And that's the crucial question. Or should I say, as crucial a question as, well, or as the statement, I'm a piece of shit. You kind of are a piece of shit. And I'm saying that to myself, obviously. It's like, there's a reason why I suppress this stuff, you know. There's a reason why I guess, like, I pushed everyone out of my life. There's a reason why I'm alone right now. There's a reason why, like, I have social anxiety. And I have all of these beliefs about, like, how like, people always try to take advantage of my niceness. People always, like, try to manipulate, you know, and get their way, you know, at the expense of me. And all of these feelings, and like, these are all of the feelings that contribute to my social anxiety, right? And it just made sense. You know, like, it's like, I would love to sit here and just like, and say that, like, at least to myself, that, like, you know, I'm someone who knows, I know, right? I've done so much work on myself. I know that, like, everyone is on the same boat, and like, people aren't as bad as I sometimes think, but like, that doesn't kind of change the fact that, like, I have been thinking this way about people for a very long time, and still continue to, really. You know, of course, like, I'm going to go into like what this means in relation to who I am right now, and all of the stuff that I've been doing, you know. And I suppose also the cause, you know, that's obviously, like, I'm going to talk about that in a second, but like, yeah, so just to wrap up my, like, you know, this little story I'm telling, it's like, yeah, like, it made sense. I was like, I don't care. It's like, I wish I did. Like, how weird is it? Like, I wish I cared about, like, I wish I would, like, you know, because you see some people, right, and they're like, they're so, like, they love people, and like, and they do things for society and for people, and they're like, their whole kind of, like, their whole kind of thing is that, like, they love people and they want to help people, and it's like, have I ever felt that? I have. This is the thing, I have. But very rarely, if I'm honest. Like, at least traditionally, right? And even now, as you know, or in recent history, as I've, you know, talked, I guess, and also myself thought about, like, how I would like, how I'm going to help so many people, you know, and to change society for the better. It's like, behind all of that stuff, I guess, was a desperate voice that said, I'm not a narcissist. I care about people. I care about people. I care about people. I don't really care about people. I don't really care about people. That means I'm a piece of shit. I'm just not a people person. I like being alone. There's a reason I became alone. You know, there's a reason why I isolated myself away from my friends and my family, and, you know, to do my own thing, you know. It's because I can't stand people. And having to, like, having to interact with them, because I just don't know, like, I just don't know, like, how to act around them, you know. I don't, like, without, like, you know, and it's just like, and what happens when there's disagreement and, like, conflict, and you know, and it's just like, and people expect too much of you. You give them, what was it? You give them a foot and they take a mile or something like that. It's just like, oh man, like, I've been doing that my whole life. Just catering to other people. You know, I went on this journey so that I could, you know, so that I could be by myself and not have to self-sacrifice anymore. You know? So, yeah. And that was my realization. Right. But another part of me wants to help people, or rather wishes that he cared about helping people. You know, because otherwise it makes me a shitty person, right? Yeah, but anyway, so I had this realization, and as you heard, it's not a pleasant realization, but it did help me, or rather, like, it showed to me that I was able to have this realization, because I've, like I said, I've never identified as a narcissist. I have always seen myself as the product or the victim of other narcissists, but I've never seen myself ever as a narcissist. And I realized only within the last few weeks that I am a narcissist myself. Or rather that I have a side of me that is narcissistic, if you will, right? And that showed me that I had this realization that I have grown as a person. You know, that I can actually face that side of myself. But, and it also, it also informs me of just what narcissism means and what it is, and what we can do to overcome it. I know, big words coming from a narcissist himself, right? But I realized, in being with that pain, in having this realization that narcissism is a sign that we are unfulfilled, that we don't know how to fulfill ourselves. That's what narcissism is, right? We have this thing where it's like we almost use selfishness and narcissism interchangeably, right? When you say someone is selfish, it's pretty much synonymous with someone who is narcissistic, right? That's just how we view those two ideas, right? But I realized that in fact, selfishness and narcissism are two completely different things. Completely different things. Like, so different that it's crazy. Not like different in terms of, like, you know, okay, one leads to the other, is what I'm trying to say. But like, to group them together as synonyms is a fucking mistake. It is wrong. Because selfishness is natural. Selfishness is life. Is 3D life. Because what's the most selfless thing you could do? It's probably to donate yourself to the the rest of society, or like to humanity, if you will. Give, like, you know, give everything that you own to other people. You know, like, just like spend the rest of your life like donating blood and like doing things for other people, you know, and that's it. You know, you basically become like a human cell, like in the Matrix, right? You know, it's just a thought experiment. Obviously, it's absurd, right, to actually think that, but like, but like, you know, that's what it would take. Like, if you wanted to say what's the most selfless you could be, it is to sacrifice yourself for other people. That's what selflessness is, and it's completely unnatural. Because what? You have needs. You know, you get hungry, you get thirsty. You crave attention. You know, you crave validation from other people. That's why you seek out achievement, really. Or rather, just like a side of it. Like, not all of it, but a side of it, right? So, like, we as human beings, nay, living organisms, selfishness is our nature. Narcissism is a disorder that is a direct result of starvation or unfulfillment, as I said earlier. It is to take that selfishness that you have by your very nature and to suppress it, or to rather disown it. I am not selfish. I'm not selfish. I am a selfless, altruistic, good person. I want to be a good person. Don't we all? Don't we all? We all want to be good people. But to say, I'm not going to be selfish, I'm going to put others before myself and starve myself just so that other people can be happy, that is starvation. So when you look at narcissism, it could be in other people, it could be in yourself, you know. Recognize that the reason that this disorder exists is because we're trying to snuff out one of like the most basic essence of life, which is to be selfish. And selfish is a very judgmental way of putting it. You know, I've done an entry where I said like I think I said like I made some bold claim about how like desire is the ultimate will of the cosmos, really, right? It acts through you, it acts through others, it acts through the entire unit. Like, it acts through source, which is why source, like, ultimately projected into the 3D realm was because of desire, right? The desire to know itself, the desire to experience happiness and pain and the duality of all of that, the contrast, right? For us to be like, no, being selfish is wrong, right? And to basically, it's not a choice, you know, I was going to say it's a choice, it's a subconscious choice, but that makes it not a choice, right? It's like, we think that the only way to live is to sacrifice for other people. Because the first thing that we cannot do, you know, the thing that we must absolutely not do is to be selfish. That's what causes narcissism. You know. And by the way, this is a bit kind of, I guess, unrelated, but tangential, right? What is cancer? So we have this label for narcissism, like it's some kind of disease, right? What is cancer? Because cancer is a disease, right? It kills so many people. We need to destroy cancer. I know, this is obviously like the voice of someone who like the kind of stereotypical like mainstream person, right? Is we need to destroy cancer, it's a plague, right? But of course anyone who's watching this, or anyone who has even a modicum of like awareness as to like the current world, knows that like you know that cancer is not a fucking disease. Cancer is an autoimmune response, you know, that comes when like the body attacks itself. That's cancer. And yeah, you know, it's just, I don't even know why, but like, yeah, why I'm mentioning this, but like there's multi-million, multi-billion, multi-trillion, whatever dollar businesses around it. Yeah, okay. I just thought I'd touch on the conspiracy theory angle, you know, but yeah. Cancer is not a disease, and yet we treat it as a disease. And what do? We put people through chemotherapy. We put them on meds. We do everything in like, at least like in like modern medicine, or what is like the kind of standardized version of modern medicine in the way of cancer, is we basically like try to excise it, try to rip it out violently out of someone with like radiation therapy and like fucking medicines that suppress like, you know, normal bodily functions, right? Just because the body is doing something that is harming itself, because the body is already harming itself. Can you see the parallel between what I was talking about earlier and the topic of the century, narcissism, and cancer? What is narcissism? It's suppressed desire. It's suppressed selfishness. I use selfishness like, and it sounds judgmental, that word, but like what I mean by selfishness is like the natural state of a living organism to have needs, right? And they go beyond just eating and sleeping and like, and all of these basic things, right? And like, I know I kind of take them for granted, right? Because I live in modern society and it's so convenient and we don't have to brave the wild and stuff like that, you know? Okay, I get that. But your needs go beyond these basic needs that are in, you know, the bottom rung of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? If anything, as I've touched upon, like living in modern society actually suppresses certain other needs. It over saturates you know, or rather it inundates certain base needs like security, comfort, food, obviously, you know, all of this bottom rung stuff. But emotional needs, that's what modern society does for emotional needs. You know, like fulfillment, connection, belonging, you know, pride, self-pride, self-fulfillment, self-love, all of these important emotional dimensions. It's not anyone's fault. Like I mentioned in that intro, I talked about modern society and how loneliness and mediocrity are rampant, right? It's not anyone's fault. So I don't like giving too much power to like conspiracy theories and things like that. Like, yeah, it just so happens that like money, for example, is a very convenient tool to like disempower people and to keep them as slaves, essentially, in this rat race system. Yes, it's a convenient tool that does that, but it's not as simple as saying that people who actually do that do it because they're fully 100% consciously doing it, you know. I just feel like, you know, it's a bit of a cop-out to say that it's anyone's fault. You know, it's not anyone's fault, you know, it's just how things are, right? But that doesn't mean we don't have any power, again, like, towards it, even if we say it like that, right? But, like, so yeah. What is narcissism? Like, I have been guilty of this. I'm like, fucking I hate narcissists, man. They're so selfish, but it's like, Why are people narcissistic? Because they're starved. And they don't realize they're starved. You know, they just ate like a fucking steak dinner. But are they fulfilled? No. You know, like, can they wear who they really are on their sleeves? No. You know, can they design a life that truly resonates with them? No. Do they have commitment to shit that they don't give a fuck about? Yes. Do they have relationships where, like, it's not anyone's fault, but like the dynamic in like the social group, it's just not very fulfilling? Yes. And that's why narcissism exists. Right. And again, having said all of this, doesn't mean that like I'm not a asshole who's sometimes is like, you know, fuck ass, like I'm like fucking selfish. Narcissist, like I do that. I do it. You know, despite making this entry and talking about it in such a candid way, I still do that shit. I see someone who does something, or like someone who offends me in some way, even though it's not their direct fault or it really has nothing to do with it. I'm like, fuck that person. That's narcissism. Right. Okay, let me give one final thing, and then I'll talk about what we can do about it really. Which is very simple, actually. Right. So I mentioned cancer. What's the other one? Addiction. What is addiction? Or / escapism? Like, is anyone proud of admitting that they're an addict? Fuck no. Oh yeah, I'm an alcoholic. Oh yeah, I have a gambling addiction. Yeah, you know, go me, right? Fuck no. You know, or even like, you know, like, I just thought that I would mention that I have a gambling addiction or whatever addiction, a sex addiction, an escapism addiction. Because I thought that it would be the best thing to admit to myself and to other people so that we can gain awareness of this. Fuck no. You know? If anything, like you do, like, you'll deny it to the last minute. And even if you don't, you plummet yourself into like this pit of like shame. Like, I'm an addict. How's that for a graphic, like, representation? I'm an addict! I'm a piece of shit! I gamble all the time! I eat food! I'm sex! I can't do anything! That's the kind of energy. No one's like, oh yeah, I'm an addict. And I'm taking these steps to get over it, you know, like, I understand it, like, it is because... What is addiction? Could it be that it's like it's like the body, like, desperately trying to nourish itself in the areas that it's starving, but it's doing so in a very subconscious or not particularly healthy way? It's because you give it no other choice. By continuing to like starve yourself and continuing to starve yourself and ignoring your feelings and ignoring your desires, right? You know? Why do you think I teach like succumbing sometimes? I'm not like, oh, you know what? You should eat healthy. You know what? You should be this. You should be enlightened. You know, once you have stopped watching mindless entertainment and gone cold turkey on that, you should never go back. No, I don't teach that. I do not teach that at all. Why? Because this is not some fucking, like, this is not some fucking church. Like, I apologize, right, for making that comment. It's probably a bit disrespectful, but like, you know, this isn't a sterile environment where we're like, you know, judge the sinners. Or not even judge the sinners, but like, you shall do, you shall not do. Whenever you say you shouldn't, it's not an ultimatum. It's never a fucking ultimatum, right? It's merely like a direction. You know, I think of it like that sometimes, like, or rather, like, this is me articulating how I feel about advice and like should and shouldn't and guidance and teaching and stuff like that. It's just like, you should see everything as direction, right? And of course, like, you know, automatically, like, you know, someone who is unconscious might hear that and be like, oh, well, I say unconscious, but like, not like, you know, I don't know what to say, but like, you know, the average person might, like, someone might step up and be like, you know, like, oh, so you're saying that I can do crimes and rob and rape and kill, you know, because you shouldn't kill other people or rape other people or commit crimes. That's only a guideline. Is that what you're saying? No, that's not what I'm fucking saying. I'm saying, like, when you're considering, like, a piece of advice, whether it be from other people or from yourself, right? You should think, okay, like, is it like you should be like, you should never think that, like, no, oh, like, I have to follow this. And newsflash, right? It's okay if you do feel that way, because eventually you'll get to a point where, like, you will move to the next stage of, like, because, like, this is like, I had to face, like, this whole closet narcissism thing. At least the first time. I'm sure I'm going to face it again, because it's such a deeply ingrained thing. Like, you know, I might be facing it for the next fucking 10 years for all I know, or for the rest of my life. Who knows? Like, sometimes shit, like, happens, and, like, you try to remain optimistic, right? You do, like, I really do, like, and, like, I don't force it, but like, I just maintain, like, an optimistic outlook. I'm the kind of person who believes that anything really is possible, in the sense that, like, there is always hope in life, right? And I've been recently playing, like, the new Danganronpa, so, like, I guess that ties into it. Like, sorry, just random side tangent. Like, Danganronpa is a video game, visual novel. But yeah, I've been playing the latest one to V3, so hope versus despair and all of that stuff. But, like, anyway, sorry for that random interlude. Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? But, like, you know, but you kind of, like, yeah, you know, you keep going and you keep going, and then eventually you do things. You know, you force, like, you know, everyone who's watching this who's been on the journey, do you fucking, like, do you, like, do you ever get the feeling that when you try to force things, it doesn't quite work? And doesn't quite work is kind of a fucking understatement. And then when you just let go of all attachment to, like, having to do that thing, you suddenly start to make tracks towards that thing. Have you ever had that feeling? Because that's the whole fucking journey, right? Is like, but is it wrong to have, like, to want to get there, to want to be passionate about becoming enlightened and tranquil and all this stuff? No, that's not. Is it wrong for someone to be hungry? To be selfish? No. You know? No. So, like, yeah, that, you know, I was talking about addiction. What is addiction? It's the same thing as cancer, narcissism. It's all the same thing, you know. So, like I mentioned, like, you know, in like the kind of the first half of this entry, like, that, do I feel, have I ever felt, like, truly connected with other people, or at least with the feeling of wanting to help other people? Yes, I have. And what were the conditions of me feeling that? When I was fulfilled myself. Let me repeat that. Have I ever felt being a narcissist and like trying to, being like the closet, I said covert, I use those, you know, I'm changing the words, but like closet narcissist or covert narcissist, or even hypersensitive narcissist, or whatever it's called, right? As someone like that, who grew up, like, basically doing a lot of self-sacrificing and, like, never presenting his real self to other people, and never admitting, like, his true desires to other people or to himself, and never going in the direction of what really made him happy, and going through the motions like most people, ending up in a situation where like it's just I couldn't take anymore. That the resulting like kind of pain and like and indignation really like launched me into this journey that birthed so many beautiful things for me. You know, have I ever felt like I really wanted to help people? Yes, but only when I was thoughtful of myself. Translation, or AKA, what is my message on this channel aside from like, you know, tap into your sensitivity and like you know, things of that nature. You know, tap into your sensitivity and like your feelings and all that stuff, and just random ideas that I occasionally have about the cosmos and like infinity and infinitesimal. You know, that was a good entry. I like that entry. But like, what is my main message? It is to build a life that you love, to do what you love, to do what you are truly passionate about. It is to put love, the feeling, the activity, you know, and what really gives beauty and meaning to your life at the forefront of your life. If nothing else, that's my message. You know, it's not always my message. I was about to say, oh, you know, that's my message until I die, motherfucker. No, the reality is like, sometimes other things are more important. But more times than not, the most important thing you should be doing is following your heart and doing what you love. Because when you start to do that, guess what starts to happen? You start to finally satiate that starvation in your soul that you've carried with you for 20, 30, 40 years. And always felt like this human parasite. Like in a world full of other human parasites. Just trying to fucking out-survive each other. Or like, I don't fucking know, like, yeah, just surviving each other. I wouldn't say out-survive, but like just like, you know, trying to like get by and like fucking put walls up, like, you know, against the world so that like, we just sort of like fucking like, you know, life's hard. It really is, you know, it's painful and like sometimes you just want to just fucking shut that shit out. You know? I just want to be comfortable. You know? And we've all been there. That's where most of us end up. That's where most of us stay. But to all of those, from one heart-centered being, if you will, I don't even want, like, that sounds overly pompous to me. Like, at least referring to myself. I'm just someone who loves beauty. My very first, like, purpose statement that I ever wrote to myself, or for myself rather, was to champion beauty. That's the word I used, beauty. I love beauty. And there's so much beauty in a life where you prioritize what's beautiful to you. Right, so once you start to do that, you will find, strangely, that the more that you do it, the more that your cup spilleth over, and you start to talk to people, you know, like, it's nothing grand, but like, you know, people have been checking my stuff out, and yeah, and the more that I can make it a concentrated and direct and genuine, authentic, and full, and cutting edge, you know, as in like not compromising based on anything that existed in the past or anything like that, right? The more that I can make it basically a crystallized version of who I truly am and what I truly find beautiful, the more that I'm not afraid so much anymore to release it into the world. Because I'm no longer having kind of these blinders up, these shields to stop people from taking advantage of me. Because all they need to do is to attack me and I fall because I'm a starved being. Right? I did an entry, just came to mind, about how to be, the reason you're not XXX enough. Or how to be more XXX, fill in the blank. Curious, attractive, extrovert. Social, I guess, would be this entry's kind of extension to that, is you have to own yourself. Life's full of fucking paradoxes, right? How do you become more selfless? Let's say it's selfless this time. The reason you're not selfless enough is because you're not selfish enough. But I thought that selfishness is in direct opposition to selflessness. I'm putting on an act here, but this is how my subconscious this is how my consciousness has been for a long time. It's but I thought that selfishness is the direct opposite of altruism, of selflessness. How can I care about people if I'm over here doing what I'm doing? Even as I was going on my journey, and I was doing the very thing that I needed to do, which was to be more selfish, I was still judging myself and other people. I'm particularly myself. How can I make other people more happy? How can I don't care about other people. The old friends and the family that I have, I've hurt them so much. This is what I was thinking. I'll wrap with this. Right. I hope I've talked enough about this. I guess it wasn't perfect, but none of my entries ever are, and there's probably a lot more to be said about this if anyone wants me to bake anything else, but I hope the message is simple enough. Be more selfish. And it sounds stupid, right? I go back to the disclaimer at the beginning of my entry, if you're triggered, then, but no, that's literally it. And teach other people to be more selfish. That's the one. Fuck the disclaimer. Who gives a shit? That's what you need to do. If I say be more selfish and it makes you feel guilty, once you have become more selfish and you're doing the things that you truly love, and you're not compromising, it's a step. Because to give an illustration, I like video games, but I feel the need to like the kinds of other video games that popular people like, and the ones that are socially acceptable. I couldn't like this cute anime girl, fucked up, dark, thing that's full of feeling, but it's a bit weird. No. You have to slowly be like, no. I like dark, perverse, cute, anime stuff. Doesn't mean I like all anime. It doesn't even mean that I still support fully. I know this is a bit controversial what I'm saying, but the medium of anime is, I feel it's the same with games, honestly. I know this is controversial for me to say, but I feel it's time that we kind of like broke off from that bit. So it's still okay to like indulge in those media, but like, anyway, besides the point here, like beyond the scope of this entry and this channel, in fact, but like, yes, we have to all get to a point where we can be like, no, this is what I really want. I want to be the weirdo who likes this weird, cute, fetishistic, girly, gay, pussy, like, slutty, like, insert whatever, like, weird judgment that plagues your consciousness, like, weird, like, weirdo stuff, perverted, like, 50 Shades of Grey weird stuff, I want a man to dominate me, or like, I want to fuck a girl in leather. But you have to admit that. You don't have to announce it to the world straight away like I just did. But you can get there slowly, little by little. It's not about admission. Because who are you admitting this shit to? This is another thing you realize. Before, like, you're like, he won't, like, society won't acknowledge this. Society won't, society won't, other people, and it's like, no, it's like, who am I admitting this to? And what does it matter? What does it matter? Like, whoever's watching this, why does it matter? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, it's like, why does it matter that I admit that, like, I want to be dominated by a man or to fuck a girl in leather? Wait a minute. The first one's not true. But like, yeah, it's like, but of course, like, if anything, it probably doesn't make sense to do it. The only, like, I just said a bunch of stuff right now because I'm a weirdo, I'm a stupid idiot on the internet, right? I just run my mouth, right? And that's why, that's the reason this vlog channel exists. But like, for you yourself, just admit to yourself, because that's the most important thing. Once you've admitted to yourself, you could admit it to anyone. That's the magic. But before you have admitted it to yourself, you cannot admit to anyone. You see? Before you give to yourself, have you heard this before? I'm sure you have. Or like that you have loved yourself. You cannot give or love to another. Do I wish it was different? Kinda, but not really. But kinda, but not really. You see? That's just life. So anyway, that's the answer. I forgot what else I was saying before. I think I was on another train of thought, but like I forgot it. But anyway, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. So what's in store for this vlog channel after this? I don't fucking know. Like, yeah, I guess I'll just continue to make stuff and we'll see. Oh, I have some other channels. I have a music channel, and I have a gaming channel. And on my music channel, I've started to stream practice sessions on piano. And I might eventually start streaming like production as well, music production. So that's one thing I've been doing. My gaming channel, I do regular Let's Plays and like things of that nature. Sometimes I stream, but like more often than not, it's Let's Plays. And I've got another big thing that I'm going to release soon on my gaming channel. It's Tekken related. But yeah, and like, for me, I've been meaning to give like an update, and like, this isn't really an update, but like, it's just kind of like a thing I'm tagging at the end of the century, but like, 2017 was a really big year for me in terms of like stabilizing myself, but like, this year moving forwards, I'm going to, yeah, continue to grow. I'm just gonna keep, like, I realized that I need to, I finally, all this time I was like, why don't I do more stuff? Why don't I do more stuff? Why do I am motivated enough? And it's like, the reason was because, like, I hadn't found stuff to be really motivated, like, with. But like, now, like, I'm kind of, like, starting to, like, pick up speed. Like, I'm starting to, like, really, like, kind of understand what I'm trying to do with myself, with my time, with my legacy and all this stuff. So this is what I'll be doing for the foreseeable future, is like, you know, sharing ideas and doing the things that I love, you know. And yeah, that's it really. Like, kind of an anticlimactic ending, but like, I hadn't planned this entry, as I don't with most things. But like, yeah, if you've watched this far, or, you know, yeah, sat through all of this rambling, then thank you, as usual. If you want me to do more about this topic, then I can do more. Talk a bit more kind of, less like, you know, rambly and unfocused, and more like kind of like, what do I actually mean by, like, you know, what are the signs of narcissism, like what are some things you can do, you know, blah blah blah, you know, anything you want to discuss. And lastly, I'll end with this, like, if you happen to be someone who knows me personally, and you're watching this video, then I don't know, I don't feel that I have the right to say that, like, it's hopefully kind of provided some insight. I mean, it's been years really since I've talked to some of these people, and like, but if you did watch it, and like, this is yet another thing that kind of explains, I guess, the way that I used to be. And I hope, even if it didn't, you know, it didn't change your opinion of me, or like, it didn't really provide any satisfactory, like, closure for you, you know, because I'm just fucking running my mouth, like, I'm not talking to you face to face about this, but like, I hope that it at least gives you an idea, an insight into how, if you allow me, like, if I don't sound too much of like a pretentious asshole saying this, but like, in your life, because like, a lot of people in society have it backwards. A lot of society, most people in society, they think, and it makes sense. It makes sense that, like, in order to be loved and like, and to be valuable and to be a good person, quote unquote, you have to, like, be selfless. You have to be considerate. You know, you have to, like, care about other people, and it's like, but the thing is, like, everyone talks about that's what you should do, but no one talks about, like, how you actually do it in a way that's actually beneficial to not only you but to other people, and to, like, basically eradicate this fucking narcissism thing. In theory, anyway. I don't, like, who knows if it can actually be done, like, to wipe it from the face of the earth. But in order to end to diffuse the background of narcissism, I say it that way because, again, like, yeah, sometimes you're like, this fucking asshole, and they're like, this fucking asshole. It's like, yeah, it's just a bunch of narcissistic people, like, you know, having a slanging match with each other, right? And in order to like kind of break like the spell that's on all of us, the spell of narcissism, is to fulfill yourself. Keep your job. Do, like, you know, like, you have responsibilities, fine. Fine. That's great. But do something that is an accurate representation of who you are. And let that feeling flood your life. You know? And see how it makes you stop, like, being so judgmental towards other people. And I'm speaking from my perspective, obviously. I'm not saying this as if, like, I'm imposing what I think you're thinking, like, by saying this. But, like, you know, it made me become less judgmental, more open to, like, to being there for people. Because I knew that, like, because I have strength that comes from satiating yourself, fulfilling yourself. It is strength that comes. Long ass entry. There was one more thing I wanted to say. Yeah, so if you're a narcissist, even if you're not a narcissist, that's what narcissism is. It is simply starvation. And it follows logically that you should eradicate that side of you. In the same way that it follows logically that you need to eradicate cancer, and you need to eradicate escapism, and you need to eradicate all of these other things that you do that are not resourceful or healthy. But I think it's time, again, like, it's just the way that I talk, right? I don't mean to sound so pretentious, but, like, it's about time that we take a more progressive approach and to start to view these things as simply, you know, a response to a stimulus that is not fully visible to us, and to identify what that stimulus is, and then to eradicate that. And what is that stimulus? It is unfulfillment. AKA, do what you love, motherfucker! Right? Because the more that you do that, the more that you can then help other people do that. You know? And imagine what a world, I know, like, again, like, imagine how wonderful the world would be if we all just did what we love, man. Yeah! It would be. But it starts with me. You know, like, I'm gonna, this is why I'm going. You know, I'm gonna keep going and do what I love. And then also, like, look out. If I see, hopefully, let's be honest, right? I say all of this shit. It's not an excuse for me. Like, I'm still gonna have to learn to, like, I'm still gonna have to relearn some proper, like, people skills and assertiveness and, like, and putting myself out there and stuff like that, and, you know, all of that stuff. But there you go. Yeah, so God, this is a weird entry. But yeah, I'll be back next week, I suppose. And I might try something new soon, where, yeah, you know, I'm gonna, because I realize that my entries are really long and rambly, so, like, yeah, I might try something where I kind of cut them down and, like, release them as smaller videos or something. But, like, in any case, I'm gonna end this entry because it's way too long and way too rambly. So it's been a while since I've done these entries. Like, in reality, like, I recorded the last month's worth of entries a month in advance, so it's been like a month and a bit since I've done an entry. So, like, you know, I'm kind of a bit, yeah, you know, it's been a while since I've done them. But anyway, thank you very much for watching this, guys. Like, if you have any questions or any comments, feel free to leave them, you know, and hopefully I'll respond. Oh God, it's not easy facing your demons, man, and your fears and stuff. Anyway, thank you very much for watching the heck, okay? And until next time, peace out. Such an anticlimactic ending. I love you. Bye bye.